welcome back to my channel. My name is Sheree. If you're new here, thank you for clicking on this video today. And today's video is going to be all about the teaching profession and what people don't really know about teaching and why I love teaching. That's basically all that this video is going to be about. And yeah, why so many people are leaving teaching and why people are stuck there. I'm going to make a separate video about how I transitioned out of teaching and the things that I did in order to escape it, because I look at it as an escape because I felt like in a prison while I was there. So yeah, if you want to hear, if you're considering transitioning into teaching, or if you're in school to be a teacher right now, this is a good video to give you some insight about teaching. So yeah, stay tuned. So a little bit about my journey, and I'm going to try to be as honest and raw and vulnerable as I can. So yeah, I got my undergraduate degree in political science and history with a concentration in public policy and administration. My goal was to go to law school, in which I did. I went to law school for a year, and I went straight out of undergrad. My undergraduate school was a predominantly white school, and law school was at an HBCU. And how old was I? Maybe 21, 22, yeah, when I was going into law school. And yeah, it was just not the timing for me to be there. I was not able to focus as I should have, because in undergrad and even in high school, I've always just been able, not really having to study really hard to get good grades. I've always naturally just been smart and able to just, just get it like this. That wasn't the case in law school, especially when I was focusing on boys, to be honest with you, and just not realizing how much more studying was necessary. So needless to say, I failed out of law school. I was not able to go back the next year because my GPA wasn't high enough. And so looking at that now, it really was a blessing. So yeah, so after I failed out of law school, the next year I worked for a temp agency doing criminal background checks. So then I was like, I was making like $12 an hour. And so I was like, what can I do? And I knew, and actually my first semester of undergrad, I started out in education. But I did like, they placed me in like some daycare for some type of course or something. And I was like, hell no. And that should have been clue number one. But somehow I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to my love of teaching. I always loved teaching. And so some of my biggest role models and just people that I think of are my teachers, my third and fourth grade teachers, Mrs. Capers in third grade and Mrs. Reddy in fourth grade. Those are like my ideals and standards at that time of what a good teacher was. And so I thought I was going to do that and be them and just teach. And so I went back to school. I got my master's in education. I did my student teaching and met one of the greatest teachers I've ever seen. I've seen two great teachers as an adult. So one was my student teacher, her, and then the other one was a lady that I worked with later on. Both of them were named Linda, which is odd. But anyway, so yeah, I went back to school, got my master's degree in education, started out teaching in 2009 is when I got my first teaching job. So I taught for 10 years. And then, so I taught fourth grade for 4 years. And then I just, after year one, I knew that it wasn't for me. And like I said, I want to talk about this more in another video about my experience, like how I transitioned out. So I don't want to just go into that. What I want to talk about mostly in this video, because I don't want it to be that long, because it will be extremely long if I went into everything and how my path went. So I don't really want to go into that. But I knew after year one that I did not want to be a teacher. It was not what I thought it was going to be. It wasn't teaching. It was discipline. It was social work. It was psychiatry. It was janitorial work, construction work, everything except teaching is what it was. And it wasn't for me. And then to top it off, there was no respect. The pay was terrible. So I knew that I didn't want to be a teacher after my first year. So I spent most of the next 9 or 8 years just trying to get out of teaching. That was my main thing. But I had to do it because my skills weren't really transferring. Like when I went, while I was trying to get out, people don't value teachers in this country. So if you put teaching on your resume, they're going to look at you like you're just an idiot. They don't value teachers. So it was hard for me to get a job. But anyway, so what I want to do now is just go through the main reasons of why teaching is the worst in this country. And I advise you not to do it. Before you even consider going into the teaching profession, you have to genuinely like children. And I like some children. These kids are different, okay? These kids are rude. They are disrespectful. They didn't grow up the way that I grew up with, which is respecting adults. And so you really, really have to love children, today's children, in spite of. So that's step one. Because if you can't do that, then don't do it, girl. And also, like, the kids, there's no structure at home. The kids these days, they run their houses. So whatever the kids say, that's Bible in their home. So if you told the child to sit down, or if you used the tone that the child didn't like and the child went home and tell their parents, then you're automatically the bad guy. No matter what you say as an adult, as a professional educator, your word is not even going to be valid against a 5 or 7 year old. That's how bad it is now, right now. Which leads me, after being able to love kids, which leads me to the next thing, the parents. I would say, out of the things that on my list, the list of things that were the worst for me personally was the parents. That's the number one reason why I left education, because the parents are the worst. I don't know if you guys ever seen that cartoon where the child had to explain to the parent why they got this grade. No, now you have to have all type of evidence, DNA kits, everything to tell this parent why you gave this child this grade, or what happened with why their child failed on going down the slide. I mean, kids fall all the time. So the child may break their leg on a monkey bars or something at recess, because you know kids are wild. They're going to try to sue you. So we've seen that happen where teachers have been sued for foolishness that happened on the playground. You could be watching the kids, and I've watched many kids fall all the time, but you are at risk of being sued for things like that nowadays by these parents. These parents are the absolute worst. So yeah, be prepared for that. The next thing right under parents for me would be administration. Administration, the principal that hired me, and he was an educator for over 30 some years, and he retired like 3 months into the job. And that's when I got a new principal. But that was like the only administrator that was like awesome. The other ones were garbage. I mean, garbage. They really only care about, and it's because they have a lot of pressure placed on them by society and the government. They're not focused on the overall well-being of the child and the whole cultivating of a positive learning environment for a child and teaching a child how to learn. They're teaching kids how to do well on tests. And if their numbers aren't looking well, then what pressure they're feeling is always going to end up on the teacher. So you may have school boards having to respond to government and state officials, and they in turn put that pressure. The school board places it on the principal, and the principals place it on the teachers. It always lands on the teacher. So that's all they care about. So if you're able to make your numbers look good, and I've seen it where teachers have been doing things and messing with data that was not accurate, and yeah, just to make themselves look good. Yeah, and it's bad. Administration is, I'm trying to make sure I don't run out of time. I have to watch my time. Administration will not support you. Most administrators will not support you when you have to go to bat against a parent. It's just very unsupportive. So yeah, administration. And then, so I'll say parents, administration, the kids, and then there's the pay. The pay was terrible. I would say if you are married, you'll be doing a little bit better, especially if you came in, like for me, having a master's degree. Now they don't pay teachers for master's degrees anymore, but I was blessed enough to be grandfathered in before they enacted the new law saying that they don't pay for masters anymore. So I was getting paid for my master's degree. But in the long term, teachers need to be starting out at $80K. That's the amount of work that we did, or that teachers do, was unbelievable. And you won't know until you get into it, and then it's too late. Well, it's not too late because I escaped, but you really don't know until you get into it. But the pay is terrible. They automatically take 6% of your check, at least in North Carolina, to be placed in a pension, which, you could have been using that money to invest it other ways. Summers, like, you only get paid for 10 months. So people always say, oh, you teachers get to relax on summers and you're getting paid. That's not true unless you set it up yourself. And when you set it up yourself, you have to take money from the already measly check that you're getting for those 10 months and just spread it out over 12 months. So you're not really getting paid over the summer unless you set up your account to save money so you don't have to work during the summer. And that's what I did for my years. I would take money out of my check over the 10 months, so I didn't have to work on this during the summer. So, and the biggest question is, out of all these things, and I don't want this video to be long, why aren't more teachers leaving? I think, like I said, teachers are not valued, they're not respected. It's hard for them to transition out of it because the skills don't transfer. So, and I said this earlier in the video, that's why a lot of them are stuck. When people at my last school, found out that I was leaving, people that had never spoke to me before in the hallway were speaking to me saying, congratulations, take me with you. There were a lot of unhappy people at the school that I just left. And yeah, it's sad because I love teaching. I love the helping people learn new things and helping people have aha moments and being able to be creative and teaching people new things. I just like helping people. I do. I really like helping people learn. So, and the teaching profession just is not conducive for that. It's all about test scores and bad kids and terrible parents and unsupportive administrators. So I would not advise anyone to go into the teaching profession. I don't know how they're still getting, I guess because people don't know, like I said, until you get into it. I'm like, how are they still getting people to come into this? Like, my blood pressure was affected. I had friends who had to leave school and go to the hospital because of their blood pressure. The amount of stress was just it was affecting me mentally and physically. And I knew it was time to go. I could not live my life like that anymore. So yeah, I left. And it was hard. It was so hard to leave. And I will do another video on how I transitioned out of it, but it was hard. But I knew either I had to leave teaching or I had to die. that was it. And I chose to live. So I worked my tail off to get out because I was not going to be stuck living a dead life being a teacher. So I hope that gave you a little bit of insight of teaching if you wanted to know, like, firsthand what it was, and if you're considering it or whatever reason you decide to click on this video. I appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Yeah, let me know if you have any other questions about teaching, and I'll try to answer them in the comments below. And I think that was it. All I had in my notes. Let me double check. Did I have anything on the back? Nope, that was it. All right, so you guys be blessed, and I will see you guys